going on
We
there?
got one going right now. Russell Gahagan here from Russell's Fishing Tech. First of all, Happy New Year. Also, Merry Christmas. I hope you had a great holidays. Really looking forward to 2021. It's a unique year for me because it's probably the first time in 10 plus years that I'm not going to be spending the bulk of my winter traveling the Midwest, going to consumer shows, and sort of shaking hands and conversating with a lot of fishermen, a lot of friends, customers that I've met over the years. I have to tell you, I'm disappointed in that. I'm going to miss seeing you guys this winter, but look forward to the opportunity to do that again when it happens. But I'm going to utilize my time this winter to spend a bunch of time with my family, and also try to use technology and the internet and my YouTube page, Russell's Fishing Tech, to teach you guys a little bit more about salmon fishing, and hopefully we can just have a really good time learning and getting ready for the 2021 season. So we're going to start off with a more of a beginner video. That's one of the things that I'm going to do a lot more of this year. Is I'm going to do more of a range of videos. I'm going to do some videos for, beginner fishermen, brand new to salmon fishing like this one. I'm going to do a lot of videos for intermediate fishermen, people who've been fishing a couple of years but looking to really up their game. And then I'll even do a couple of really advanced technical videos for the guys out there that have been doing it a long time, or maybe charter captains or tournament fishermen that are just looking to up their game a little bit and want to share some knowledge. So as I've always learned, you never want to stop learning. You always want to continue to learn the best you can. I learn a lot almost every time I sit down with a really talented fisherman and just conversate and learn some of their tips and tricks. So we're going to start off today with this video, Flashers and Flies 101. And this video is really designed to just explain to you what a flasher fly is, how it works, so that if you haven't used them before, or if you own a few but really don't know what to do or how they work, we're going to go over that right now. So we'll start with the first part of it, which is the flasher. So most importantly, a flasher is something that rotates in a 360 rotation in the water, just like this. Okay. A lot of times these can be misrepresented as a dodger. A dodger is generally, or almost always, metal, and it sways back and forth like this and then might flip over, and then sways back and forth and then might flip over. Where a flasher is also commonly known as a rotator, for the reason that it rotates in a 360 constantly like this all the time. Generally speaking, flashers are plastic, and there's a lot of options and models out there. We really favor the salmon candy flashers here, in Sheboygan and at my store. This is a salmon candy flasher with UV two-face pattern. It's plastic, white plastic with the double fins on the back. There are some other models out there. ProTroll makes one with a single fin on the back and an E-chip. Spin Doctor kind of gives you a little bit different shape there, more of like a space shuttle kind of shape with a double fin setup. Pro King has the same look as a salmon candy flasher, just different color options available. And then there is multiple sizes as well in flashers. This is a Dreamweaver paddle. This is an 11-inch, not as popular, but still is used on the Great Lakes. But this also has no fin, which has a little bit different rotation in the water. And there is 8-inch models out there like this from Dreamweaver, Hotspot, some of the other brands, with no fin. So those are kind of your different plastic flasher options. So what the flasher does is it rotates a 360 in the water, and it is thought that it imitates a feeding salmon, sort of a thrashing salmon back and forth. Salmon are very territorial, so I would say that, this is just an opinion, but I would say probably 50% of the salmon that you catch on a yearly basis out on Lake Michigan or in Lake Ontario actually might bite your lure out of aggression or territorialness, not hunger. So you're not always catching fish just because they're hungry and they're feeding. And that's where a flasher can really give you an advantage there over like something like a spoon. Spoon definitely looks like a wounded baitfish. If they're not hungry, they may not bite this or bite a spoon. But with a flasher, being that, this thrashing back and forth in the water imitates a feeding salmon, they then see this fly behind it, which is going back and forth, sort of like a wounded bait fish trying to get away. That can really represent a feeding salmon going after a wounded bait fish, and another salmon can come in and grab that easy meal before this one gets it. That's sort of the concept of a flasher fly. So we've gone over the plastic flasher part. Next along the line here is the leader line. So there's a piece of line here between the flasher and the fly. That line is really important, and it's important that you use the right type of line and the right weight of line. The right type of line for a flasher fly setup should always be fluorocarbon. The main reason that you want it to be fluorocarbon is so that it is very stiff and the fly goes back and forth correctly in the water. The preferred weight on this is 50 pound. This particular leader is a pre-tied leader by Salmon Candy. It's a 50 pound fluorocarbon leader. Some of my customers like 40, some like 60. 50 is my preferred weight. Right at the flasher here, it's important to note that we have a knot in the leader line. This knot is called a loop knot. If you're unfamiliar with that, you might want to search that knot on YouTube so that you understand what kind of knot that is. But that's the knot that we use to tie to attach the fly to the flasher. So we've got the leader line covered. The next component of the leader is the beads. And this is something that I think is really misrepresented a lot in salmon fishing. People have taken it to a length that it really doesn't need to be, and we'll talk a lot about this in my advanced flasher and fly tactics video. But all beads are on a fly setup is a spacer. They're just designed to space the fly and the hook. So there's 4 beads on this Salmon Candy leader, and the reason there's 4 beads is 4 beads places that hook exactly where we want it. And where we want that hook is just into the skirt a little ways, like you can see right there. If it was hanging way out here, it would look odd to the fish, sticking way back like that. You probably won't get as many strikes. And if it was buried way up here, like up in here, then when the fish went to grab the back part of the fly, a lot of times you wouldn't get the hook. So you want it just buried just inside of the material like that, so it doesn't stick way out, look odd, and not too far up so that the fish gets the hook when he grabs it. So on this particular setup with the size beads, which is an 8mm bead that Salmon Candy uses, 4 beads is the right answer here. The last component of the leader is the hook, and it's really important, especially with the sizes of fish in Lake Michigan right now, and even on Lake Ontario and the abuse that this hook takes, that you use a high quality treble hook. The right size and the right quality is really, really important here. And at the knot, there's a couple different types of knots you can tie. I prefer a fisherman's knot, which is what this particular knot is there. What's important when you tie this knot is that you get the line wet a little bit, so that when you pull the knot tight, you don't get any friction and you don't get any frays in that line, which we don't have here at all, as I feel. So that leaves us with the last component of a flasher fly setup, and that component is the fly. And this is a Salmon Candy Addiction fly. It's got a little bit of rubber legs in it, some boy blue material. This is what is called or known as sort of a Mylar Fly. They make a couple different types of materials. Some companies use a Flashaboo, which is more like real hair, real fine, real hair. And then this Mylar is a little bit more of a thicker material. Either one works. There's lots of brands of flies out there that are good. Find which ones you prefer, which one works the best for you. This is a Salmon Candy fly here. And I would suggest, especially if you're really new to fishing, I would suggest that you use the Salmon Candy brand flies and leaders, because it takes a lot of the guesswork out. As I said, this is a pre-tied leader. It's 24 inches long, it's the right length for 8-inch flashers, and it's pre-tied with all the right components, so you don't have to do that. You can buy these pre-tied from Salmon Candy, and you can just slide the fly on. It's a great setup for you, especially, like I said, if you're inexperienced and you don't have a lot of knowledge of what it is. But that's the basics of what a flasher fly setup is. Hopefully it gives you a really good understanding. Flashers and flies are probably the most popular way to catch king salmon, I would say, today on the Great Lakes, or really close neck and neck with spoons for sure. It's my favorite way to catch king salmon, and if you have not become a efficient flasher fly fisherman, you need to be. So keep a lookout. I'm going to have videos popping out like rapid fire here. Lots of different topics, lots of different things. I'm really excited for 2021, and I hope you are too. Good luck fishing.